Wednesday night edition of the Anaheim Calling podcast. We are back to discuss another Ducks game, second one in 24 hours. So this is going to be fun here. This was actually a pretty entertaining game at Honda Center. Pre-game ceremony to celebrate Ryan Kesler's 1,000th game. That happened yesterday against Arizona, but they gave him the silver stick. That was pretty cool. How was the ceremony? They didn't actually televise it. So how was it?
I mean, it was just your typical run-of-the-mill ceremony. I don't know. It was really not anything too special.
Wow, way to downplay. The event.
It felt like any other thing where they honored a player or did a ceremonial puck drop where they brought someone out. They brought out his family, gave him the silver stick, and had Getzlaf and Perry come out. And so it wasn't anything like super special.
Well, the game was very exciting itself, and for the first time in a while, it feels like the game itself will be the star of the show here. The Ducks losing tonight 5-4, probably should have won this game, but for the retool purposes,
for the tanking,
I think this works out pretty well.
This was the absolute perfect tanking game, especially if you were there live like I was.
Yes.
I mean, not jumping too far ahead with as we get into the whole analysis of this game, but I mean, I'm not sure if there's much more I can ask from any game for the rest of the season. Pretty much is that, I mean, when I'm at a game, what I want to see, I want to be entertained. I want to see fun hockey. I want to see the Ducks play well, but still probably lose because it's better for the long-term outlook of the team. Because let's be real,
John Gibson did what he had to do.
He did, although. It wasn't just. I mean, tonight's game was more. I mean, getting.
I don't think he was particularly good.
No,
tonight.
But Jordan Binnington was much worse. So
I mean,
Binnington was not great.
I guess if you look at the expected goals, 2.41 to 4.32 in favor of the Blues. Yeah, I don't think John Gibson was bad tonight. I just don't think he was really any good. So. I don't know. Maybe it would probably been a little worse with Gibson in net, but probably not by a whole lot. Okay, but before the game, some roster movement that had Jake damn near going after everyone on Twitter.
I was going.
Jake, let us know what had you in such a fury.
Okay, I wasn't going.
I've never seen Jake this frantic about anything, and believe me, I've seen him frantic.
You have. The thing is, I don't like not knowing things. Let's go with that.
I mean, that's fair.
I like understanding why things happen and how things happen and roster moves. And this was something I still can't get to the bottom of. And it's bugging me still. So pretty much basically it came out that Daniel Sprong was scratched, which may seem like a normal thing to kind of your average fan, different type of things, because he played like 6 minutes last game, something like that. Yeah, Felix. Yeah,
7 and change.
7. I can tell you're just so happy about me diving into this. Pretty much, basically, it doesn't make sense how he was scratched because you have two forwards on the Ducks that are up on emergency recall. The way the CBA is worded is that basically an emergency recall happens. They are only up when that emergency persists, an emergency condition persists, when there's injury or illness. So essentially, they can only play if there's an injury or illness that keeps the Ducks under the amount or under 12 forwards. So essentially, you cannot play them over a healthy player. And that's essentially what happened tonight with Daniel Sprong. You had both Sam Steele and Kevin Waugh in the lineup tonight as emergency recalls, and Daniel Sprong was scratched. And so the Ducks technically had 11 healthy forwards, and they played 2 emergency recalls. So the only explanation I can really have for any of this is that Daniel Sprong, even though it was announced as him being a coach's decision, maybe they're going to try to claim that he's injured or he's sick or something like that. But if he's not, then this was in direct violation of the CBA.
What are we going to do?
I mean,
what are we going to do?
The next step was people were asking me, well, what happens then? And I actually have no clue what happens then.
I think that coach's decision is ambiguous enough to where maybe it was health related.
Maybe.
Right? Because what does coach's decision mean?
Coach, yeah.
What is his decision based off?
Yeah.
Based off.
I mean, so pretty much where the Ducks are at is, for those of you wondering about the recall situation, anything like that, I've probably gone over it a bunch, but pretty much the Ducks did paper transactions on deadline day and then recalled Gooley, Terry, Jones, Magna. So there's your 4 recalls. All the rest are going to be emergency recalls based upon injuries and things like that. So essentially when Kevin Wall was called up, it's because Getzlaf came in, Grant and Richie came out, leaving the Ducks with 11 healthy forwards at that point in time. So Wall was called up. Then Shore went out of the lineup, and then Steele came up to make it 12 again. Now that Richie has come back healthy, one of either Steele or Wall would have to come out of the lineup in that case. And we actually saw emergency recalls work tonight with Jacob Larson. He came into the lineup because Brandon Gooley was not healthy enough to play, leaving the Ducks with 5 defensemen.
Kristen Hammond said it best in our Twitch chat here. I love you, Jake, but I think the Ducks have a grasp on this.
And that's fair.
That's exactly, I think, what I said in our Slack chat.
All I want is for somebody to point out how.
You know, I really hope you get the answer to this one day. This is kind of how I feel about the Bermuda Triangle. Maybe this is your Bermuda Triangle.
This is going to bug me for a while.
This is like the Malaysia Airlines flight to me. I just
want to know how. That's all I want to know is how.
Oh, God. All right.
It makes no... Just give
Are we going to talk about hockey at some point?
Sure. I spent most of the first period.
I kind of want to let you keep going just to let people make fun of you in our Twitch chat.
I spent most of the first period looking up the CBA to try to figure out if there was anything I was missing.
Jake literally for those who don't know, we have a chat for our Anaheim Calling staff, and Jake was literally typing out the roster, and it was like he was doing a math equation, like a proof. I don't know if people remember proofs in geometry.
Oh, I still do that.
But he was doing that. And I was just looking at my phone. No one else is responding. It's just message after message. I couldn't help myself but crack up.
I mean,
but you know,
I had to check my
intellectual curiosity that makes you great, Jake.
Thank you.
This is good. I don't want to take anything away from you. I'm not taking anything away from you.
Not taking anything away from me as you're trying to throw me under the bus.
Also, I kind of messed up on my intro. I wanted to dedicate this podcast to Jake because really tonight was Jake night at Honda Center. Not just at Honda Center, but this is a good segue. So not only did Troy Terry have 3 assists tonight, the Ducks also lost. So Jake's favorite player went off. The team lost, helping the tank. And on the intermission show on NBCSN, Bob McKenzie reporting or speculating / reporting, however you want to call it. When Bob McKenzie speaks, you have to listen.
The Bob father.
Dallas Eakins is the front runner for the Ducks job. So, I mean, that's like the Jake hat trick right there.
I mean,
Tankening, Troy Terry, and Dallas Eakins.
I mean, 2 of those 3 things we already knew. We already knew that.
I'm trying to give you something here, Jake.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to pay an homage.
Oh, okay. So you're giving me credit. Good. Okay, good. Yeah, Troy Terry's good, as I said. Dallas Eakins will be the Ducks head coach and is going to be successful, like I've said.
What if he takes another job? Because there will be openings this summer.
There will be openings. I mean, what other openings are there going to be?
Well, we don't know if Craig Berube is going to stick around in St. Louis. And then looking around the league, I don't know what different teams are going to do if they don't make the playoffs. I don't know if the Flyers are going to stick with their situation.
Well, would you consider any of those situations better? Because we can kind of get an idea of who's going to be fired. I don't think any of the situations are better than what he's going to come into with the Ducks.
Yeah, but also money.
Fair.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's not like this is his only option. And this is something that Bob McKenzie pointed out. He's like, well, Dallas Eakins has options as well. So,
but
again, the
Jack
Bob
Hughes.
Well, I'm wishing it upon you, Jake.
Okay.
I really am.
Okay.
I'm wishing it upon you.
Let me just say, tonight was a very, very good night for me. I enjoyed myself.
After getting through the last 5 minutes, let's get into the game here because this was a good one. This is actually a game that I'm excited to talk about for a number of different reasons. Let's get into the recap here. First goal of the night the Ducks had a rough, I would say, first 5 minutes. The St. Louis Blues outshooting them. But just after that 5-minute mark at 14:37, Terry gets the puck behind the net, wins a battle, and then kind of fakes going to one side, reverses it to Nick Ritchie, who then just wraps it around the net, stuffs it home. That would make it 1-0. Nice play by Terry there.
Very nice play by Terry. Good job by Ritchie, but let me know if it kind of looked like this on TV. Bit of a soft goal from Binnington.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't call it a great goal to let up, but also it's a player on the doorstep. So however that puck goes in, that's a pretty high probability area to shoot from.
That's true.
You know, it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, it looked bad, but then again, it's an NHL player with no one in front of him. I don't know. Ritchie is okay. Also, are we going to – so this is something I want to pitch your way here. Is it going to start being Terry the Creator?
Ooh.
Or is that still taken?
I mean, the Perry the Creator never really caught on.
Perry the Creator doesn't really work if Perry's not putting up assists. But
See,
Terry, 3 assists.
Troy Terry, 3 assists. He needs to build on it. He needs to earn the title.
Terry the Creator? Or is there a better version?
We can do better. There's something.
Yeah.
There's something I can. There's
tossing saucers, Terry.
No, there's something better that can be done with Troy.
Troy.
There's
okay.
something
well,
there.
Anyway,
there's something there.
If you have a suggestion, throw it in the Twitch chat or tweet at us.
God,
anyway,
now my brain's working on that.
Well, while you're working on that, let's get into the next goal of the night. St. Louis Blues on the power play. Vlad Tarasenko fires it from that patented left circle on his strong side. And Braden Shen, in true Victor Arvidsson fashion, jumps up into the sky and tips it home, making it a 1-1 game. And then from there, Ryan O'Reilly would add to that with a power play goal. And I don't know. I mean, I would say that this one probably you don't want to put it on Gibson because he was screened, but another goal that he had a little time to look at, that would make it 2-1. And then again, the St. Louis Blues getting back to work. This time it's Robert Thomas, a pretty highly touted prospect. Although I don't know if he's even really a prospect anymore for the Blues. This is probably actually easily Gibson's worst goal on the night. I don't think there's any way you can get around that. Thomas skates it in, gets it through the legs of Jacob Megna. Maybe you could argue that Gibson couldn't really see the release point. It's a nice shot by Thomas to get it through the screen, but Gibson has a chance. It actually hits him, and he's not able to control it, and that goes through. So this is about close to the end of the second period, and that would be 3-1 St. Louis. So it didn't really feel all that positive at that point in the game.
Depending on if you're pro-tank or anti-tank.
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, the team was playing well.
No, and that's the thing. I think even at that point, you can look at the 3 goals, and all 3 were on the power play for the Blues. So you can kind of isolate it and say maybe the Ducks penalty kill needs to get a little bit better, which, granted, we've kind of said that for a fair amount of this year, is that the penalty kill needs to get better. So that's not exactly news to this team, but I think at 5-on-5, you could at least look at the play and take positives away from the play. And so, yes, they were down 3-1, but I think the bigger takeaway there is that the Ducks on the penalty kill were not great. Not necessarily the Ducks were playing bad necessarily. And so, I mean, yeah.
I mean, they had Corbinian and Holzer out there killing penalties.
True.
All due respect, but especially on the O'Reilly goal, I mean, he backed off so hard on that. Same goes for, the second goal, or sorry, the third goal where Magno was also backing up a little bit on Thomas. But the Ducks would make it 3-2 late in the second period. Really nice dish here from none other than Terry the Creator.
Terry the Creator.
In his soon-to-be patented right circle.
Right off the half wall.
Something I've been pointing out for a few games now. He's really adept now at scanning his options when he gets into that slot, because he senses that the defense or that the penalty kill unit is kind of gravitating towards him. It frees up Rickard Rakell. He just perfectly gets this pass all the way across the middle of the ice to none other than Rickard Rakell, who slams it home and looks like much more than how many goals does he have this season? Was that his 14th?
I do not know off the top of my head because I'm constantly monitoring the chat, seeing if anyone has something good for Terry.
That was his 10th goal this season. Looked like much more than a 10-goal scorer in that goal.
Bonnie comes in
Rakell is still good.
Bonnie comes in with carried by Terry.
Carried by Terry.
That's a decent one.
Close.
Close.
Wow, this chat is blowing up.
Yeah.
Anyway, now let's get into the next goal here.
Wait, I did want to bring this up on that goal. We've been seeing that from Troy Terry a little bit now off that half wall, and you've seen him make that pass, and it's not always being put in the back of the net, but that's become a consistent play of his. And I think what he's doing well is he's not only passing from that scenario. Yes, he's scanning and looking for it, but we saw it last game. He's also shooting from that exact spot. And I think
I mean, it doesn't matter if you never shoot in that position. You have to at least have the threat.
Yes, and the thing is he's had the threat and he's put the puck in the back of the net. And so I think he's doing a good job of providing kind of a lot of misinformation, because on the power play, especially when you get to the NHL with goalies, a lot of what you have to do is send misinformation to the goalies to make them think that you're going to shoot or you're going to pass, and it's really all about deception. And I think Terry's doing a good job of that. And we're seeing that hashtag elite skill that I was talking about with him.
That elite skill with the hashtag. That's aggressive.
I know.
The Ducks would tie it up, though, with 2 minutes left in the second period. Sam Steele making a nice read, receives the puck down low, sends it back to the trailing Jacob Megna, who fires it through the crowd for his first NHL career goal. Congratulations to Jacob Megna.
Congratulations.
3-3 hockey game.
Yep.
It's a big one.
Yeah, that goal was not the best one from Binnington.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it did go through a crowd. I guess you could say that. Now, if you want to talk about bad goals by Binnington, this fourth goal by the Ducks certainly takes the cake. Adam Henrique enters the zone, dishes it back to Jacob Megna. For whatever reason this play happened, I thought it was Larson that shot that. But anyway.
Larson did shoot it.
No, it was Megna. They gave it back to Megna after the goal was scored.
Okay.
I know. I was fooled too.
In Arena, they announced the assist to Larson.
I know. And they corrected it. If you go on NHL.com now.
Interesting.
It says from Megna. Yep. Well, because it's because their numbers are so similar.
Oh, got it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Larson got the fake assist.
He did. He had me fooled. I tweeted Larson because I legitimately thought it was him.
That's what they announced in stadium.
See, that's kind of sad because they had a kind of a closer view than I did. Anyway, getting far afield here. Megna shoots it on net again. Megna just everywhere tonight. This was the signature Jacob Megna game.
The Jacob Megna coming out party.
Yes, and so this one was pretty bad though from Jordan Binnington. I mean, it hits him in the chest, bounces up, and then he kind of tries to smack it out of the air, whiffs on that, then tries to catch it. By this point, he's about 5 feet or 7 feet out of the net, scrambling, and Adam Henrique is able to just kind of jam home that loose puck, and that would make it 4-3 for Anaheim. And Terry right there at the doorstep as well. He gets an assist on the play for touching the puck.
My boy.
So, I mean, I'm not really going to say a whole lot about Terry here just because, I mean, he was just kind of at the right place at the right time. But, I mean, that would put the Ducks up. And it wasn't really just the goal because obviously it's a bad one from Binnington. It was that the Ducks were playing very well up to that point. I mean, they were skating up down the ice, some good pace. I think that overall, if you look at this team now compared to under Carlisle, it's just, I hate speaking in these terms, but you can just feel the energy. You can feel there's an energy to the team in the way they're playing.
It's not just the energy. They're just the way that they're playing, the way they're attacking the neutral zone, the way they're entering the zone. Everything about their style of play is the exact opposite of Randy Carlisle. And we've been told by some people that, well, that's confirmation bias. But I mean, the evidence is out there. We said it with the stats. We've seen it with their improved play. We've seen it with everything. And the common denominator is that Randy Carlisle is gone. And there's been a huge tick in the way that how the Ducks are playing, the way they're playing, a lot of this different stuff. And, I mean, if you want to ignore the correlation there, go for it. But it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that this is something that has happened with the Ducks. This is something that happened with the Ducks back in 11-12. There was a big tick. I mean, people wrote articles about the positive impact it had on the Ducks' shot attempt metrics when they fired Randy Carlisle, and also the negative impact that it had on the Leafs when the Leafs hired him. So it's one of those things of like, we now have multiple samples showing that teams that fire Randy Carlyle see a massive increase in their shot metrics, in their chance metrics, in their different things like that. And how do you not draw that conclusion that Randy Carlyle is a bad coach?
I mean, we kind of already knew that, but
fair.
With another good period in their back pocket, the Ducks were so close to pulling this one out. But with 1 minute and 4 seconds left on the clock, Robert Thomas once again strikes. This time, it's off the rebound, coming off of the end boards. Gibson comes out. He's not able to get back to his post in time. I mean, he makes a valiant attempt, stretches out that left leg, but Thomas is able to be all over that rebound. That would make it 4-4 St. Louis. And then, with under 1 minute left, Alex Pietrangelo. I mean, this one, there's just not a whole lot you can ask from Gibson here. I mean, he shoots it from the point, kind of takes a weird bounce, and then from there, it goes right off of Adam Henry's skate and in. And so that would make it 5-4 St. Louis. The Ducks try to come back unsuccessfully, and then that would pretty much do it for the night. Now, Jake is... For those who can't see, Jake has 2 thumbs up right now. And the reason that he's doing that, and I'll get into this here a little bit, is that we talked about this. We've been talking about this the last couple of games. The Ducks are showing a lot of positive indicators. Different parts of the lineup. Troy Terry playing really well. A bit more of a quiet game tonight for Max Jones, but guys like Sam Steele looking really good. I thought Kevin Waugh actually had a pretty good game.
Kevin Waugh had a very, very good game.
The goal that Terry set Raquel up for, that was actually due to a penalty that Kevin Waugh partially drew. I mean, he actually drove to the net and then took an extra little swipe at Binnington after the whistle, and that kind of infuriated Jay Bomeister, who somehow is still in the NHL. And that melee would result in a St. Louis penalty. So, I mean, it just goes to show that there are so many positives around this, across this lineup right now. And conversely, it didn't result in a win, but again, at this point in the season, the Ducks shouldn't really be looking.
No,
just logically speaking, it's better for them to have a higher draft pick, and you don't get that by winning every game.
Yeah, and the other thing, on top of Troy Terry's 3 assists, he could have very easily, as you and I were talking about before we went live, he could have had a fourth one also. He had a beautiful pass that he set up Nick Ritchie, basically for a tap in front of the net, and Nick Ritchie was not able to find it. But it was just overall, I mean, this was exactly when they fired Randy Carlyle. I made mention of what I wanted to see from this team, that I wanted to see them improve their play. I wanted to see them play fun games. And honestly, I said it's better that they lose games.
This game was as fun as it was going to get.
Yeah, and this is the perfect game because this showed everyone what this team can be next season.
Right.
When they have these pieces, and hopefully an improved version of this next season with some tweaks here and there. But this shows that kind of everything that we, or I guess more so I, had been saying earlier on, giving you a little bit of crap, that this roster is not as bad as we're seeing.
Right. I mean, then again, we do have to mention that it's also not as bad, but they're also not winning either.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, let's not pretend that they're lighting the world on fire here. But yes, I don't think I ever argued that this team was as bad as the lowest points it got to this season. It remains to be seen how this will carry over, but again, unequivocally, there are positive indicators right now. So let's get some closing thoughts in here before we jump into some questions. So I guess my last thought will be that, like you, I'm very curious to see what this team will look like next season, especially under Dallas Eakins. I think that the Ducks, obviously, if they keep losing games, that could be a little tough on the psyche. You want to see them pick up a win here and there. But right now, I think it's all kind of positive for Anaheim. There's a lot of positive going on, and it sucks that it had to get to this point for them to see the positive. But I think that if they get a new coach, obviously they're going to get a new coach in the offseason. If it's Dallas Eakins, right, he's that familiarity, and they make some necessary changes to the roster. I still think this roster has work to do, has work to be done on it. Then you're looking at maybe a quicker retool than some are expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that there's things that need to happen to the roster, but I think what we're seeing now is it doesn't need to be completely blown up as some people thought it needed to.
It also can't really be blown up. That's the other thing.
That's also true. I did want to show now on your screen is the Ducks, is moneypucks.com's probability of winning, which is just kind of hilarious to me. And you can see that the Ducks had a very high chance of winning this game, and then that just fell off a cliff. And I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard. But if you look at it, the Ducks, I mean, they allowed the Blues having some high danger chances. But, I mean, you got to remember, this is also a very good Blues team that has, since essentially the new year, been one of the top teams in the entire NHL. There's no other way around that. They've been one of the best teams in the league. And so I think there's a lot of encouraging things that you can take away from this game. And then at the end of the day, the Ducks weren't able to pick up any points, which is good for the long-term outlook of this team with the potential to get more or to get a higher draft pick. And also, an interesting subplot that I didn't think about until someone mentioned it to me on Twitter. The St. Louis Blues, if you remember correctly, the first-round pick that the Ducks got for Brandon Montour could be the St. Louis Blues pick if the Blues are between 20th and 31st in the draft. So this could have helped the Ducks in that situation also, because this moved the St. Louis Blues to 15th, which, if I'm looking at this correctly, give me one quick second to go to this and check it out. But the St. Louis Blues now have the 18th pick in the draft. So they're getting close. They're behind Vegas, Montreal, and Pittsburgh in terms of draft standings, in terms of points gained. They've got 76 points right now. Vegas, Montreal, and Pittsburgh and Carolina are all at 79. So we as Ducks fans, you want St. Louis to win because that St. Louis pick, if it can get into the 20s, is going to be better than the San Jose pick. So this was good on a lot of different fronts.
Correct. All right. Do you want to jump into some questions here?
Sure. So, for those of you listening to the recorded version of this or watching the YouTube version of this, also for those of you that don't know, the pod's now on YouTube. Go like and subscribe, please. It actually helps out a lot. But we do a live version of this show at twitch.tv/Anaheim Calling SBN. And with Twitch, you can actually subscribe to us and help us out in a way that's completely free to you. If you have Amazon Prime, you get Twitch Prime. And with Twitch Prime, it's a way for you to support your favorite streamers out there. And like I said, it's completely free to you if you have Amazon Prime. So if you link up your account, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button at the top of the page, right up there, that area. I'm there, over there.
The classic YouTube move.
Over there.
Are we now YouTubers as well?
Well, no, I'm pointing up to the top, wherever the subscribe button is. Anywho, and you do have to hit that after every 30 days to resubscribe to the channel. It doesn't automatically renew, but it does help out more. And with that, you get special emotes in the chat, which right now is a Jack Hughes picture, and we will get a second one up there soon. You get special badge next to your name. So we got a couple questions in the chat already. So from higher up, I wanted to get this one in from Bionic Christ. Said, question, is it good to place Jones on a fourth line, or do we want to bring him up with Terry, Henrique, and Jones, or put him on a line with Terry and Henrique?
I don't think it totally matters what lines they're playing on. I think that it's just interesting how that reflects what the coaching staff, and what's interesting is I will answer this question, but I do want to say, when the Ducks lose tonight, what is Bob Murray thinking?
He's got to be happy.
I know, right?
He's got to.
But think about the conflict of interest there.
Oh, it's such a conflict.
At the end of the game, he's like, let's put our fourth line out there to defend this lead. I'm just saying, he could totally rig this. I mean, you can't rig it, but he could pull some strings. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But to answer the question, is it bad that he's playing the fourth line? No. I think that he needs to keep making an impact to stay in the lineup. I don't think that there's really any player right now, I mean, just ask Daniel Sprong, who is safe from being either moved out, or not moved out, but sent down or scratched if they're not bringing it. Obviously, Terry's very safe for now. Max Jones hasn't really produced, but I think that he's fairly safe in that tonight was probably not his worst game yet, but definitely his quietest game. I would expect that if this continues, that he either may get sent back down or you may see him scratched a game or two. So we'll see.
All right, so let me get to this question. This comes from Infinite Jester 23. How do the Ducks start clearing spots on the roster for Ducklings next season?
That is a great question. And, Jake and I have actually talked about this a lot this season, is that what will this team look like next year? And I think that they have paved the way a little bit to clear out some guys. Obviously trading Gibbons, trading Cogliano, although to replace him with Devin Shore. There's not a whole lot of spots for the young guys next season. But what we've seen is that if they impress, if they play well, spots will be made for them and other guys will be moved. So we'll see. We'll just have to see what next season brings, because training camps are a big deciding factor for the beginning of the season. So if they bring it early, I would expect at least one or two of them to make it.
Yep. All right, so this came from Piggy7SWAT. Question: in Jordan Samuel Thomas's last Athletic article, he mentioned the progress of Steele, Terry, and Jones at the end. And at the end of Terry's section, JST said Terry could be the Ducks' number 2 center next year. Do we see Terry moving back to center? And then Piggy7 added, personally, I feel he'd be better on the wing. So it was a really good article from Jordan Samuel Thomas. I suggest checking out. I actually am very happy that with a guy like Sam Steele, instead of focusing on scoring plays like he kind of does from time to time, he actually focused on a breakout, which I thought was really good to focus on that type of stuff, because at the end of the day, scoring plays, yes, those are what we remember, but those are a couple plays every single game as compared to what happens for the majority of time in a game. And I think for a guy like Sam Steele, focusing on that is good. But I kind of view this.
The number 2 center thing is confusing. Is that a typo?
No, that was something that Jordan Samuels Thomas said about Troy Terry. I think that was just him.
He's not going to be a center next season.
He hasn't played.
I don't even think he is a center.
No, and he hasn't played center in the AHL. He hasn't.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where that's coming from.
He hasn't.
But anyway.
He didn't even play center when he was in the Olympics. He didn't play center last year at Denver. He hasn't really played center since he was a sophomore, freshman at Denver University. So playing center is kind of out.
Well, the thing is that center is almost a reputation position. There are guys who are great centers and who just, you can tell they're a center. But if a guy, maybe you could argue, as Jordan Samuels Thomas is doing, that a guy could be a great center, unless a guy has been playing center, there's almost no coach that will take that risk. So you know what? We're going to try you at center, because everyone sees it, and rightfully so, is a very high leverage position. You can't really mess around with who you're putting at center.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably him just seeing he probably is still listed as a center, and so maybe
he's
why.
a big believer in Troy Terry, and how could you not be with the way he's playing right now?
Well, I'm wondering if Troy Terry on the NHL website, as kind of dumb as this is going to sound.
If he's saying the guy could be a center, I'm a little puzzled.
Well, I'm just wondering.
A little puzzled by it. That has to be a typo.
It wasn't a typo. I read that
the article, but I'm thinking, is that a?
No,
I'm just a little confused.
And he's not even listed as a center on the NHL's website. He's only listed as a right.
I think
winger.
What he's arguing is just he has the tools to get there.
Yeah.
With his passing vision, his poise, anticipation.
As he wrote. Technically on Elite Prospects, he's listed as a right wing / center. So, but he hasn't.
When was the last time he played center?
It would have been his freshman or sophomore year of college. At the Olympics,
goodness.
I remember. I think maybe
to me, he seems like a natural winger because of the way he plays. He's good at getting to the middle, but he's so good at shooting from the wing. Anyway, let's not go too off track here. He did also talk about Steele and Jones. I think he's on the money that Steele is showing progress, and obviously that Jones has a lot to offer.
Yeah. Yep. I don't really have a whole lot more to add to that.
It's all about Terry and Jake Land.
Yep. Oh, 100%. All right. So Kempafu said, question, what does Silverberg have to do? And I think this is specifically aimed at me, next season for you to swallow your words about trading him this and last season. Silverberg doesn't really actually have to do a whole lot. Next season's not really the season I'm concerned about. It's him continuing to be productive into the later years of the contract is one thing to make me eat my words on it. But the other thing is things have to move out, and kind of very cap savvy moves have to be made now. And I think,
well, but here's the thing: if the Ducks are going to be as good next year as you claim, then wouldn't it make sense to have a good player in Silverberg around?
Well, I mean, what it came down to is, would he
be a part of that?
Would you rather have Adam Henrique or Jakob Silverberg? I mean, they made their
Silverberg 10 out of 10. 10 times out. I'm not even thinking about that twice. I didn't even really have to think about it once.
Fair. Well, yeah.
If you think Adam Henrique is better or more valuable than Jakob Silverberg, I think that is insulting to Jakob Silverberg's talent level.
Fair.
And his impact. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
Bring in the spice.
Wow.
Bring in the spice today. Bring in a little heat.
Damn. Coming in hot. No, I think that's fair. I mean, my whole thing with trading Silverberg was never necessarily about the player. It was about the situation. So, I mean, it's more so I got to evaluate and see kind of what the Ducks do now to make themselves cap compliant and kind of in a healthier way. So, yeah. So, it's not anything Silverberg really has to do next season to make me eat my words. It's more so what does Bob Murray do to make me eat my words?
The criticism of the contract is fair. But I think that if the Ducks are going to be good next year, or if they're going to still be competing, then it makes sense to keep him around. Moving him away and potentially not replacing him with a better player or an adequate player is making your team worse.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So CMonkey001 says, does Kesler announce that he is retiring at the end of the season? I'm going to say no.
Doubt it. I think buyout is more likely.
Yep.
If we're like comparing two probably unlikely things, that one is the more likely.
Yeah. All right. So Uvmol said, question, does this season create a lingering culture of losing that will carry into next year? With Randy gone and a summer to decompress, will they come back with a positive outlook? I say the second option.
I believe so.
I think the second option. I don't think a lingering culture of losing really happens that often unless...
It doesn't happen overnight. Too many winners on this team. And I almost hate myself for using that cliche, but too many guys who have been in playoff
This isn't the Oilers.
Right, exactly. These are guys who have seen what it takes, and they've even been there. I mean, so I don't think that happens overnight. All the pieces are in place, and proven winner Dallas Eakins will be potentially navigating the ship.
Yeah. Bionic Christ said, if the Ducks don't get a 1st through 10th pick, do you see the Ducks trading for a higher pick? The Ducks are going to get a 1 through 10 pick. That's
1 through 14.
That's almost guaranteed at this point. Is 1 through 10.
1 through 14 is guaranteed.
1 through 10 is basically guaranteed right now.
I mean, most likely they end up in the top 7.
Most likely they end up in the top 5.
So average those two and say in the top 6, folks.
Okay. All right. Bob Shockey asked us, Jake, my question seems I cannot speak. Facetious, but it's not. Besides Hughes and Kako, neither of whom we will get, who is good enough to lose for? And so we've talked about this a bit. Kirby Dach, Dylan Cousins, hopefully I got their first names right, are both projected to be really good. I'm spacing on which one. I think Dach is the one who said he looks up and kind of has modeled his game after Ryan Getzlaf, and Cousins almost kind of has modeled his game and kind of more looks like a Matt Barzal type player.
Ooh.
And so those are both really, really good players. Also, I will say this. Hughes and Kako aren't completely out of the reach because it is a lottery pick for the top 3. The top 3 are completely lotteried. So the Ducks have the 5th best odds right now to get number 1. Just saying.
All right.
And Bonnie said, if we get a generational talent, do we become a Team McDavid clone where all we focus on one player? Because that would suck. No.
I mean, here's the thing, though, is that is kind of what happens when you have a player of that ilk, is that it does become mostly about that player. I mean, you never hear it's never Jake Gensel and the Pittsburgh Penguins, right? It's never Backstrom and the Washington Capitals. And that's not a bad thing, right? That it's a good to have one of those players. It's just bad if your GM is Peter Chiarelli.
Yeah. But what was I going to say? Oh, what I was going to say is the difference between McDavid McDavid and the Oilers, it's a very unique scenario with it being the Oilers because
it should not go that far.
No, because they surrounded him with nobody, which makes
with
it
crap.
they surrounded him with Milan Lucic, with Zach Kassian. You look at who he's played with, and
guys who literally don't work with him.
The reason why it's all McDavid and has to be all McDavid is because they have done an awful job of constructing that lineup, constructing that roster. It's just poor management on all fronts. So I'd say more likely than not, if the Ducks got a generational talent and get Jack Hughes or Kakko, they're not going to end up like the Oilers because there's only one Oilers.
I mean, it's truly sad what's happened in that franchise simply because maybe I'm speaking for myself here, but I think the NHL is more fun when that team is good, when that team is relevant.
Yeah, you're speaking for yourself. I'm not.
It's okay.
I'm not the biggest fan of the Oilers fan base, to be honest.
Wow. Throwing an entire fan base under the bus.
Yep.
Bold strategy, Colin. Anyway, next question.
Yep. I think we're all out of questions. Oh, C Monkey 001
you're looking at.
Do the Ducks make the playoffs next year?
Ooh, I don't know. Honestly, that is so tough to say. I'm gonna go with probably not. I think it's more likely that they don't than they do because the Pacific Division, there are teams ahead of them. That being said, I think it's not like a guaranteed they're going to miss.
I say they make it.
They're going to be a bubble team. That's my answer.
Which honestly, I'm fine with them being a bubble team next year if they get a high pick this year.
Right. I mean, because then you can bank on that moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
There was another question that I can't find anymore because this chat is just going crazy. Someone was asking, maybe I'll find it eventually. What are our plans for the pod this summer?
Oh, I saw that also.
Yes. So if you want to find that,
I'm looking for it.
Anyway, while you look for it, I will just say preliminarily here that we don't really have any plans for the summer in terms of doing anything wildly different. What Jake and I have kind of discussed here is we're probably just going to have pods for the big events. So, for example, free agency and the draft, right, covering the Ducks activity. We will probably do podcasts for breaking news, major news, that type of thing. The podcast will not be going away, but it will not nearly be as frequent as it is right now.
You don't get to see our faces as much. I'm sorry.
And we need a little time to kind of recharge for the season, but we will still be doing pods basically for all the big stuff, and I believe we will still be doing our bonus pods as well.
Yes, the plan is to still do Patreon bonus pods in the off season.
The pod is not going anywhere.
No, and also if for bonus pods, we do have in our Discord chat, we do have the patron suggestion channel. So if you have ideas, and we've gotten some good ones, some of them are gonna probably be off-season ideas, and that's how they've been mentioned. But if you have ideas, throw them in there. That does not go away, so I can scroll through that and see kind of what is going on. We can pick and choose. So if you ever have any ideas and you're a patron, throw in your idea in there. There's no good or bad idea. Throw in whatever you have, and we'll kind of figure out what we can do with it.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, on one hand, I'm excited for the summer just to kind of get a break, but I'm also going to be sad. I'm going to be sad within a month because I'm going to miss the podcast. That's always how it goes. I start itching for the off season, but then I realize, oh wait, this just feels wrong. Anyway, anything else that you want to get into before we pick up our bags and get out of here?
No, let's just do a really quick tankathon. Why don't we? It's now up on the screen. Here we go.
Jake's favorite segment.
Oh, my favorite segment. I got a second. What
are you gonna
Kakko
do next year when there's no tankathon?
I don't know. I mean, I'll look at the standings.
Okay, so Rangers.
Anaheim second. I got Anaheim second again. There we go. First. Boom.
Wow.
I've got a couple Kakkos and then a couple Hughes. We're going good.
Wow.
We're doing good.
Someone
here.
needs to put Jake in charge of the lottery here.
We're going good here.
He's got the green thumb of draft lotteries.
Yeah. We got some. We got a question from Bionic Christ asking if we play in pickups. Yes, we probably over the off season will be doing more pickup games. It becomes a bit easier with weekends opening. On that note, we have the podcast classic coming up on, what would that be? March 24th
or 24th?
The 24th. March 24th at noon. All the spots are sadly filled at this point in time, but if you want to come and hang out, watch us play,
watch Jake and I skate on the same line.
We should be on the same line with Dan Elder.
What should we name our line?
I don't know, but Dan needs to.
What should we name our line?
Which one of us is going to back check for you? Is it going to be me or Dan? Because I know you're not back checking.
The assumption that I'm not going to back check.
You told me you're not going to back check.
No, I will. I actually really badly want to win because I don't want to hear for another year. Because, if we lose this game, we have to hear about it for a year before it happens again.
Or a month. Who knows?
Or a month. Well, that's the thing. That's the whole point. So there's a possibility that it's going to be another year. So because of that, I have to ensure that we get a win.
Yeah. So
only I can do.
This is the podcast classic, and if there is more of an appetite to have it just be Anaheim calling game for us with a little bit more of listenership from our podcast, we can also start putting together more games like that on weekends for just the listeners, or going to pickups, different things like that.
Honestly, they're a lot of fun.
They are.
As someone who's played in 2 of them now, we did a roller one and an ice one.
We've done 3.
We've done 3.
We've done 2 ice and a roller.
That's right. Yes. And so all this to say that they're just so much fun. I mean, we all get to be in our kind of favorite environment, just at the rink playing hockey. A lot of chirping. A lot of Jake trying to hit me, sometimes illegally, sometimes legally, up to your interpretation. But we encourage you that, when we put these together, to try and come out either to play or just to hang out, because they're a lot of fun, obviously, if you're in the area.
Yeah. By the way, George says he wants to open ice hit you. Any comments?
Gotta catch me first, baby. Team speed, butt speed. I'm going to be the hashtag butt speed line. Hey, we can be Shamarin and Chris Kelly. That'll be our impersonation.
No. On that note, Ken Paffu asks, what position is AC Pod team on the Tankathon?
Oh, so our draft odds?
What are our draft odds? What's the AC Pod draft odds?
I mean, at some point we're gonna do a podcast classic draft, and the lottery odds will be determined leading up to that.
I think for that we may have to do that as an Anaheim calling only thing.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a draft.
We may have to do a draft because I think Chip and I may go at it if we're doing a draft like that. I think it would be more fun if you and I were yelling at each other.
Yeah.
There are certain times where it's fun to be on the same team as Felix, but there's also times that it's fun to be on a different team and I can take runs at him.
Why does everyone want to hurt me? What is it about me? What is it about me? No, but I believe that on our roller game we did do a little mini draft at the end. And I picked correctly. My team won. So just saying. All right. Do you want to plug the watch party here?
Yes. So the watch party. We will be having a watch party on November 23rd. So the day before the podcast classic. It will actually, no. It will be, it will be for the Ducks Kings game. The location, you need to be a Patreon subscriber to attend, so the location, all the details can be found at our Patreon site, patreon.com/acpod. And if you go to that website and you subscribe and become a patron at any level, you have access to come. Like I mentioned last time, please throw in the comments if you will be coming. And basically, we want to just kind of get a roll call to figure out how many people will be there. And also, if you're going to bring someone with you, like we said, try to keep it to 1 extra person and let us know if you will be bringing someone with you. It's going to be a real fun time. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm really, really excited to watch a game with everyone.
Absolutely. Well, with all of that being said, let's wrap up here. Jake, you want to talk about the YouTube channel?
Yes. So if you find us, Google or take a YouTube search at, Anaheim Calling SB Nation, you can find our channel. Please like and subscribe to the channel, like our videos. That helps out a lot. We also we made merchandise, and I'm trying to get that up very quickly. So at Teespring, and I'll put the link, and you will find the link in the Twitch chat. You'll find it in the description. It's also teespring.com/ACPod logo, all one word. And as you can see on the screen, we made a shirt with the podcast logo. So if you've ever wanted to rep the show, want to support the show, this is also another way to go about that. So if you want to wear an Anaheim Calling shirt, if you like the show and want to wear it around town, you now have the option in men's or unisex t-shirt, sweatshirt, women's t-shirt, and a women's tank. So we have all of those for you.
Get your merch. Get your merch, folks. All right. Now, to close out the show here, make sure to check out our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/acpod. $5 a month gets you 2 additional episodes, and you get to join our Discord chat. For $1 a month, you show your support, and you get access to the chat. That's where we can interact throughout the day when news breaks, that type of thing. A little quiet right now in the chat, but I suspect that when the draft happens and when free agency is going to hit, it's going to be a lot more buzzing. Now, last couple of things here. Make sure to check us out on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Felix_Sicard. Jake is on Twitter at ReindeerGames91. Of course, AnaheimCalling.com, at Anaheim Calling on Twitter. And lastly, I do want to mention here, if you've been enjoying the show, this is the age-old request here. If you've been enjoying the show, one of the best ways to support us at no cost to you except maybe a minute of your time, leave a rating and a review on the Apple Podcast app. We really do appreciate those, and it does help the show climb up the charts. Jake, any new reviews here?
I'm taking a very, very quick look. We may have one. Let me find it real quick. Also, I hope any of you that were listening to the recorded version of the show enjoyed the little bit I added at the end from Felix and I before we recorded.
Yes, Jake and I have some sometimes we legit record a podcast segment before we even start recording the podcast, because we'll just start bantering right away. So we're going to try to get more of that unfilteredness into the show as we go along.
I will see if there's anything I can add this time. So the
more t-shirts you bribe, the more Jake will be willing to do it.
Yes,
basically.
Yes. So we got a new one from the Grumpy Elf, or Gimpy Elf. Not
Gimpy Elf.
Gimpy Elf. Great way to stay connected, and I can't see the rest of it because I'm on my phone. I think it's connected to the Ducks, probably 5 stars. Says, I'm a native of SoCal, but now living in the Philippines for work. Anaheim Calling has been a great way for me to stay connected to the team that I love. Jake, Felix, and CJ do a great job of breaking down the game and stats while keeping me entertained. Thanks so much for all the hard work you guys do. It really helps fans outside the U.S. to keep up with the game they love. Thank you so much. That actually really, really means a lot. It's really cool when we hear from people outside of just our Southern California bubble, and it kind of makes me realize and makes Felix realize that kind of we're hitting more than just our bubble, and it's really cool.
Prestige worldwide, baby. All right. So, with all of that being said, thank you for listening tonight, guys, and we will catch you Friday. And you better bet that it's going to be a great podcast, because the Montreal Canadiens are in town at Honda Center. I will be at the game. I will be going ballistic because I will be sitting in the 7th row. I bought my damn tickets. See you Friday night.
Wait, are you going to be on the show?
I will be. And I may have a few beers in me, but that's fine. The hotter the takes, the better.
Bye.